everybody, and welcome back to Coming Clean with Indy Lee. I'm your host, Indy Lee, and today I have Tara O'Kelly, who is the CEO and founder of TOK Beauty, which is now, by the way, congratulations, one of TOK Beauty's newest brands.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. That's a huge, we're going to go into that for sure. I met Tara really through social media, I think it was Clubhouse, and we bonded over Clubhouse and her love of vision boards like me. So I'm sure we'll be discussing that too. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Yeah, we definitely met over Clubhouse, but I've been using Indy Lee products for a long time before that.
I guess I still get so surprised that people know the brand or like people try, like, I know that's crazy because I know we sell products, but I'm always like, oh my God, you've heard of us. So thank you. It makes me so happy. And FYI, I am wearing your mascara.
Oh,
how do my eyes look, everybody? So for those who are listening and not watching, you have to head over to YouTube so you can see how great my eyelashes look. So listen, every guest that joins the podcast, right, I always ask many similar questions because I think really success of the brands is so much dependent on that why, right? Like, why did you start it? Yeah. And I've always had this theory that a lot of the most successful brands, why started where they had a passion or a pain point and they turned it into their purpose, right? Because let's face it, like starting a brand from scratch, it's not like, hey, I'm going to start this. And then all of a sudden, like, you're going to be this huge success or you're going to make all this money. It really becomes a passion project. I mean, as they always say, it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. I'm like, great. So I know that you started for really that place within your heart where you're like, this is what I have to do. So I was hoping you could really share what that why is. And when you realize like, that's it, this is what I have to do for the rest of my life, or at least for the next foreseeable future.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll give a little bit of a backstory. So I was in oil and gas, sales and oil and gas in Calgary, Alberta, and I had just lost my job. And I was like, okay, I need to do something that I love. I can't, go and get another sales job. Like, I need to find my why, basically. So I took a job at a salon as a receptionist because I loved the beauty industry. I was always doing makeup on friends and family and my little sister when we were younger. So I took a job as a receptionist, and then I doubled as a makeup artist. So I certified myself as a makeup artist when I was there and absolutely loved the industry. So I was traveling around and applying makeup on various women, and I realized that they were really intimidated by makeup. They didn't know what to apply. They didn't know, what products to buy. They were just very confused. They would dump their makeup kit in front of me and say, like, what do I do? How do I use this? Can you give me a list of products?
I'm one of those people who like literally did not know what I was doing. So I'm with you, and I totally get that. Yeah. I'm still learning. I watch YouTube.
And so I wanted to provide these women with a line that would simplify their routine, but also provide them some added benefits as well. Like our mascara has plant-based products in it that actually promote healthy lash growth. So I wanted to provide that for them. And then on the other side, my why was also for myself. I was on my own health journey as well. So I was diagnosed with epilepsy when I was 18. I have always struggled with like weight issues and thyroid issues. So I wanted personally to be using clean products. And at the time, there wasn't a ton of options. My why was, for that health journey, but also to help these women not be so intimidated by makeup and have that confidence as well.
I don't know that I even knew too much about your health journey. So that's incredible. I think a lot of people come into clean beauty from a role of transition, right? They're in a position of transformation. And whether it's they're having children or someone they know, or perhaps themselves, they're having a health issue and they start to realize, some of the ingredients are questionable. And if there's a better choice, why wouldn't I make that cleaner choice, right? Sometimes it's not always there. I mean, it took years for me to be able to find clean makeup that was pigmented and really had that staying power. I mean, and now we're living in a time where there are brands like yours who can then provide that, and you're not sacrificing efficacy for, clean, beautiful products. So then you took matters into your own hands, and you're like, okay, I'm going to start TOK Beauty. And now you and I kind of went through this, and it's not like you had this huge beauty business background. You are not a finance like accountant or anything like that.
Nope.
And I mean, you're like, I'm going like head first into this. I don't care. Did you have someone helping you, or you're just like, okay, everything's, as Maria Forleo says, like everything's figure outable. Like, how was that for you?
Yeah, I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew like what I wanted to do. And I was like, well, I'll figure it out as I go. Basically, exactly what you're saying, like figure outable. My dad was an entrepreneur. So I worked for him when I was in high school and university, doing various jobs for him. So like I was in the accounting department, the marketing department, the sales department. So that experience was good, but it wasn't anything like the beauty industry. And I learned quickly, the different parts of the beauty industry. There's manufacturing and shipping and, online e-commerce store. There's so many parts that I had to learn myself because I couldn't afford to pay anybody. I bootstrapped everything. So yeah, I couldn't afford to pay people to help me basically. So
I know. I know that, but I do think for someone like yourself, and for me not coming from the beauty industry also, like to some extent, ignorance is bliss, right? You didn't know, so you had no reason to think you couldn't.
Yes.
And when you don't have that, at least for me, you're like, I can figure this out. And then you start to hit obstacles, but you figure out how to get through that to the other side. And you realize the strength that you have from within. Every time you hit a barrier, you're like, okay, how am I going to handle this?
Yeah, totally. I've had so many ups and downs of just like, I personally don't like accounting, but it's like, you need to know the numbers of your
and I'm an
own
accountant.
business. Yeah. And I just like, for me, numbers is like, I don't want to deal with it. I love like the sales, the marketing side, but like I didn't know Shopify. I didn't know QuickBooks. Like I didn't know any of that stuff. And I just, like you're saying, had to figure it out, dive in and do it because I knew what I wanted to do.
Now, did you have somebody who was helping you, or you're like, nope, I'm a solopreneur? Are you a solopreneur at this point?
I'm a solopreneur. I actually just hired, but there are 2 contract employees that help me out with like sales and marketing. And then my dad actually helps me out with some of the finance and that side of things.
That's amazing. So he's definitely a huge mentor.
Is a huge mentor for me. And then my boyfriend is a software developer. So he's helped me here and there with like the website side of things. So getting help from wherever I can, but also learning and doing most of it myself. Yeah.
That's how I did it. I was very fortunate early on to have some people who came into the business who said, listen, I want to make this, I want to be a business partner, et cetera, because it can be really overwhelming. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know anything about sales. I knew nothing about marketing. I'm a CPA. I'm like a finance person. I can look at numbers, but I wouldn't know that side of it. And I don't know if you're like me, but I feel that one of our biggest strengths is actually asking for help. That's not a weakness. That's saying, I don't know everything. I couldn't possibly know everything. So instead, I'm going to ask people for help. And I truly feel that is a strength and not a weakness.
Yeah, I did that early on, too, because I didn't know the beauty industry at all. And so I was actually calling what would be considered, I guess, competitors. I was calling them and being like, will you help me? Like, I'm very new, but if you have any advice for me, like, I would love that. And I remember Melanie from Elite Cosmetics was very sweet and offered like advice on different things. So, and then she said, I don't believe in competition. And I was like, wow, you know what? I love that. And I took that, as soon as she said it, I took it with me. Like, I'll help anybody too. And I know you're so much like that. I can give you a call. Yeah, I can give you a call. Anytime. And you'll offer me advice. Yeah.
Anytime. And because I think that we all rise with the tide. Yeah. And our biggest competition is ourselves. Like, how can we continue to evolve and become better in terms of product development, better as brand educators? How can I become a better leader? How can I be a better face of the company? How can I create, and if I focus so much on competition, I'm going to lose sights on why I actually started the company. And for me, it was to create change, right? Yeah. To educate and empower. And for you, it's providing that option, that clean option, and helping people simplify their routines. Yeah. And if you're so busy watching what everybody else does, your eye is off the prize of creating what your intent was.
Yes, exactly. So,
and that's, I completely agree. Now, I also know, I'm a bit woo, right? I'm definitely on the woo side. I've learned I would say the pandemic has helped me embrace my woo side and allow others to see it and be more vulnerable on it. Like, I guess for a while I felt I couldn't, people would think I would be less than, and I don't know why I had that feeling. And it could be because I came from such a corporate background that there really wasn't that much woo in there. And now as an entrepreneur, I'm allowed to let my full authentic self shine. But let me tell you, Tara, it took some like getting used to sharing that I do a vision board. And I did. I mean, that was a big thing for me when I shared this on, that's, I think one of the reasons how we actually connected offline was I put a vision board together and I said, these are the stores that I wanted to be in. And I became really focused on that. Like, and it's not that I took my eye off of what I was doing, but I put my eye forward on what I would like to put out to the universe to accomplish.
Yeah. No, I'm exactly the same. We've connected.
I know.
We've connected with this. So I totally agree.
So I want to know. So I know you have a vision board, and what business achievements were on it that you've accomplished already, and then what's still out there? Because we're going to put it out to the universe right now.
Okay. So at the beginning of 2022, usually I'll write
2021. We're not at 2022 yet.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Because I don't know what day it is, so we're okay.
Me either. I just looked at my calendar. Oh, it's Wednesday. Sorry, at the beginning of 2021 was the first time that I actually started cutting out pictures of things that I wanted and putting it on a Bristol board. So I went back to high school, elementary school days, and actually did cut and paste and put it on there.
Me too. I'm all about that. Like that actual physical cutting things out 100%.
Yeah. So I put 4 major retailers on there. So there's Jillian Harris. So she has a Jilly box, which is big here in Canada. And I got into that. So I just launched that actually in June of 2021. And then another one was Credo. And Credo was really big for me.
I know.
Really wanted.
That's big for anybody. Let me tell you, that's a huge coup. And before you go on, for anybody who doesn't know Credo, if you're new to the clean beauty, Credo is one of the, I would say, premier clean beauty retailers. It's actually the largest clean retailer, I think, globally. Yeah. And they have a really strict clean standard that they adhere to and really ensure that all their brands, in order to be taken into, there's a list of things that you may not formulate with, how your packaging is, what your long-term sustainability plans are. They're really walking the walk and talking the talk. So to be able to be a part of that family is like one of the, golden seals of approval. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that was definitely so exciting. So those 2 things both launched in June. Which was huge. And then the other 2 that I have on there are Folane. I love Tara Foley.
She's amazing.
Met her actually when I was at QVC. We were on the Big Find together, so she's awesome. I would love to be in her store. And then I also put Ulta. I mean, that's a big thing to possibly get into down the road.
Absolutely.
But it's on there. I get to look at it.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, I think I had 25 retailers on there. And when people would pass by my vision board, they would roll their eyes because it was in it was down in my basement, right? Which is where my office is. In fact, you're filming in my basement right now. I have an office down here, and I had I got a piece of O-tag, those big poster boards.
Yep.
And I had Credo. I had Folane. I had Nordstrom. I had Neiman Marcus. I had Ulta, Sephora, Blue Mercury, Galeries Lafayette in France. I just went to town. Anthropologie. I was like, if there was a retailer that I would shop in or aspire to shop in, I was going to put it on there.
Yeah.
And I started that in 2010, 2011. And as I was telling Tara, I crossed off my final retailer, I think this past, I guess it was February. I don't remember the exact date that we launched, but when we launched in Galeries Lafayette in France. That was
Congratulations.
Thank you. Oh, wait. Actually, Harrods, I think, was after that. So Harrods was another one. Like, I just went global. I was like, okay, what are we going to do?
Gonna go for it.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, it didn't really cost me anything to cut them out and put them on there. Yeah. But if I didn't, I felt it was costing me because I wasn't dreaming big enough. Yeah. And I think that's why vision boards and planning can be such a valuable tool. Yeah. I mean, yes, there's the mystical side and all that, but I think there's another very energetic side. It's like you're putting out what you believe is possible. And even if you're like, I don't know how it's going to happen, you kind of become like focused on how can I make it happen? Yeah. Does that make sense?
You try to figure out a path to get there. Yeah. Like I even have like Allure Best of Beauty and I'm like, how am I going to get that award? Like for one of my products, you know, I just would love to be in the Allure magazine, would love to be, you know, talking to those like buyers or whatever, you know, like talking to the
editors. Yeah. I mean, listen, for me too, that's still on my elusive list. I was like, I'm like, come on, I just want that seal. Yeah. I just want that. Because for the beauty industry, it really is, again, one of those big, you know, turning points for a brand of what you've accomplished. Yeah.
So like I'm right there with you. Yeah.
I know. Maybe I need to put another. It's so funny. I'm putting a new board together, but it's not as much business. It's more for myself. It's like for what I want to create as, you know, my she shed of wellness.
Yeah. I love that.
What that is, but I'm putting it out there. Like I want a sauna, like an infrared sauna. Like I just want some of these things for me and for my wellness journey. Yeah. As I continue. But I'm now realizing like, okay, I also really want to put together one for Indie Lee and what that looks like, because for me, it was just retailers. And now it's so much more than just retailers. So for you, what is it besides retailers?
Yeah. So half of my board is like retailers and business. And then the other half is personal. So like, I would love to get a house with like more property and possibly like a greenhouse and stuff. The same like with what you have. And then just continuing to work on my health, like make sure that, you know, I haven't had a seizure in 2.5 years. So making sure that, you know,
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Just making sure that it stays that way, I guess. So focusing on my health. I'd like to get engaged. Like I put like a massive ring on there. Yeah. My boyfriend was like, that's the biggest thing on the board. Yeah.
Well, then he gets the hint and he knows it's up there.
Yes, exactly.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So for budding entrepreneurs, right, who are looking for advice, what is the most valuable piece of advice that you received? And why did you think that was so valuable for you?
Yeah, I think the biggest piece of advice I received was to do something that I love, and you don't have to have it all figured out. So
tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, my dad actually, when I lost my job in oil and gas, I was like, oh, I have to get another job, like another sales job. And he's like, why don't you just start doing something you love? Even if it pays you like $10 an hour. He's like, at least you'll be learning a new industry in something that you actually like doing. So I thought that was like really great advice, you know. I was like looked up to my dad and wanted to make him proud, you know, and when he was just like, take a job for $10 an hour and learn something new.
That's pretty impressive that your dad was so like thoughtful about that and saying, okay, you know what? Don't stop putting pressure on yourself. What do you want to do?
Yeah. So I thought that was like
parents, amazing. I hope you're listening.
Yeah. I thought that was amazing advice. And then I also heard like, you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to know like what Shopify is and how to use QuickBooks and like all that stuff. You can learn as you go. And also when you launch a product, it doesn't have to be perfect either. You know, you can always like change it, get feedback from people. So, I think there's people out there that wait for like 5 years to launch something to make sure that it's perfect. Where I just was like, launched this thing, had no idea what I was doing, but I was like, this is fun. This is what I love doing. I'm helping women. And so I just kind of
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's the case in so many things is sometimes 95% is more than 100 because you just have to launch. Yeah. You just have to start.
Yeah.
And if you continue to wait, you're never going to get to that point. You know what I mean? Like you can't fail unless you actually start.
Exactly.
Either. Yeah. So I always, or you can look at it as if you haven't started, you've already failed. Like, you know, there's so many things away. And by the way, I absolutely hate that word, like failure. What does that really mean? It just means that the task that you wanted to do, you didn't hit exactly the way. But what you might have learned from it could be the most valuable piece of education that you've ever received. And so that's why for me, it's always lean into those. Don't look at it as it's not perfect and I'm going to fail or whatever. It's like, okay, let's do it. Let's learn from it and then improve. And continue to build from there. And I mean, let's face it, we don't necessarily learn from our successes nearly as much as we learn from our misses.
It's true. Yeah. And I've gotten a lot of no's.
Me too.
Yeah.
You've got to get a lot of no's to get that yes. And, you know, something that I've always said from being like sick and the experience that I had is I never upset when I have a bad day. Like, okay, so of course I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
But you don't know what a good day is if you don't have a bad day.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
You need to have that contrast. So the yeses aren't going to be nearly as sweet if you haven't had some no's. If it's always a yes, it's sort of like, all right, you know what I mean? But then it's like, it lights that fire, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree.
And so I look at it as like, okay, you know what? Bad day is just a bad day. What did I get from it?
Yeah.
And I'm always so grateful. And I know that you can understand this as having significant health issues. I'm grateful I'm having the good days. I'm grateful I'm alive.
You have to wake up and be grateful for like what you have. You know, the fact that you can like, sometimes I even think down to like, wow, I have like 2 legs and 2 arms. I can go for a walk. I can exercise. Like there's so many things that I think people take for granted. Including myself sometimes, you know, but then when you really stop and take a look at that and be like, okay, wow, I have all of this, like life's not that bad, you know, that from that retailer isn't that bad, you know? No, exactly. Yeah.
And I feel like so many of us learned that lesson this past year. Like if the pandemic has taught us anything, it's our resiliency and what's really important.
Yeah.
Yes. And the difference between what do you really need versus what is it that you want. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with wanting, but is it a need?
Yeah.
Is that fundamental to your existence? And I can tell you the shoe is not like that. You know what I mean? But, you know, food, clothing, you know, water, those are the important, you know?
As long as you have like the necessities in life. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
But I realized there's so much excess that I had in my life and now starting to really pare down and say, what is it bringing me joy?
Yeah.
Is it really that necessary? Or is it just kind of placating some other feeling that I'm not paying attention to? Okay. So my last question, because this podcast is all about passion and purpose and being fully present is how do you get present? How do you recharge?
Yeah, so I guess for me, I love to go on road trips. So I will literally get in the car and drive for like 4 hours, and just, I do my best thinking in the car. I just like go to another destination and kind of recharge, whether like that's a family cottage or just, you know, going like to the mountains or something. Like I will drive and then kind of recharge that way. I also like to walk in the forest. And then
important.
Yeah. And just getting out of the office.
So important.
Yeah. Just getting out of the office and like hanging out with friends and family. I think is like takes your mind off of like work. When you're in the office and constantly working and you're constantly on your phone, it's like you can get burnt out. I get burnt out easily because I'm always like, what's next? You know, I don't celebrate the moment. So I really had to like,
so important.
Yeah. I really had to like stop and like be like, wow, you just got into Credo. Like, celebrate that, you know, like be happy. Yeah. Not be like, okay, what's next on the vision board? It's like,
listen, I am like that. That's one of the things that I struggle with too, is that being an entrepreneur, you have these extreme highs and lows.
Yeah.
And you don't tend to focus on those highs and those wins and celebrate them and enjoy them. You're always after that next one.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, great, I'm done. Now what?
Yeah.
And that took so much effort. Why aren't we spending time celebrating and enjoying it?
Yeah.
And it's something I struggle with too. So I'm happy to hear I'm not the only one.
Actually, Susanna, who you know as well, she was the one after I got into Credo, because she's helping me with like some in-store support and stuff. And she was the one who said like, okay, you got in, like you have to celebrate, go get some champagne, go get some wine, whatever. And she's like, take it in because this is such an amazing moment. So yeah.
It is. That's great advice. That's great advice. Okay. So how do people find you and how do people find the brand?
Yeah. So our website is tokbeauty.com. So TOKbeauty.com. And then our Instagram handle is the same, TOK Beauty.
Fantastic. And anything new on the horizon that we should be looking out for?
Yeah, I'm working on new products.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So we should stay tuned and watch your social channels.
Yes, please.
Amazing. Amazing. Tara, thank you so much for being on the podcast and sharing your journey. And I always appreciate having this new friendship that is budding. And that's what I love about social media is I really do meet incredible people who then develop into friendships. So I cannot wait till borders are open and I can come visit too.
Yes, I would love that. Yeah, you've been so amazing, Indy. So thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure. And more to come on that, I promise you. All right, everybody, please take a look at Tara on Instagram and check out her website, check out her fantastic products. And if you're near a Credo, go into Credo, check her out, buy some products. I'm always recommending buying products. Love it. All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Coming Clean with Indy Lee. If you liked what you hear, please hit the subscribe button, and I'd love to hear your reviews. Also, if there are other guests or topics that you'd love for me to cover in upcoming episodes, feel free to email me at comingclean@indylee.com. That's comingclean@indylee.com. See you next time.